Going back to pass now is Sargon and throws down to the right side. The Coach-Pipe runs it down the sideline for a touchdown.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time any day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. I saw this website. It's Football Outsiders. And what they do, something pretty cool, is they do the adjusted interception rate of a quarterback. They've been doing this for, I guess, quite a few years now. They don't go back real far, but they've been doing it for about the past, I think about 8 or 9 years or so. And I just happened to look at Daniel Jones to see what his stats were. Now, what they do, I'm going to read this off the internet here. They first of all, they start with each player's actual interception total. So last year, Daniel Jones had 10. Okay. Then they add the plays where the quarterback threw a ball that could have been or should have been intercepted, but was not. Either because the defender outright dropped the ball, okay, or the ball maybe was knocked out of his hands by an offensive player, okay. And Daniel Jones had 4 of those last year. So he had 10 normally, 10 on all by himself. Then he had 4 that should have been intercepted, which were not. So that gives him a grand total, okay, of 14. But there's more. Next, they subtract the interceptions that were tipped by receivers into the hands of defenders. Who could that be? Maybe Evan Ingram, huh? So there was 2 of those. So you subtract those. Okay, so he had 10 on his own, 4 that should have been that weren't, and then they take away the 2 that were tipped from Evan Ingram into the defender. So I gave him a grand total of 12. But, to get these numbers, they also subtract Hail Mary interceptions, as well as interceptions thrown in desperation, like on 4th down in the final 2 minutes of a game. They subtract those too. So that's how they come up with their numbers, okay? So basically, Daniel Jones had 14. So, and I sort of okay, oh great, where does that put him at? Well, I mean, for 2020 season, his adjusted interception rate was 2.7. His normal, the 10 interceptions he threw, his interception rate was 2.2. But when you do the adjusted interception rate, and you put in the ones that should have been intercepted, that weren't, and all that, and everything, his adjusted interception rate went up to 2.7. Okay, so I mean, I was just looking, and he was tied for 14th in the league, and it's okay, nothing, super duper horrible, nothing super duper spectacular, just kind of about in the even, right in the middle, So then, I looked at what he did the year before that in 2019. Right. So, we all know in 2019 he had 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So he had 12 interceptions on his own. And then he had 7 that should have or could have been intercepted that weren't. So that gives him a grand total of 19. Then they subtracted 1. He must have had a Hail Mary or one on a 4th down where he just throw it in the final 2 minutes of the game where it got picked off or something along those lines. So that his total in his first year was 18. Right? His 12 interceptions, his normal interception rate was 2.6. Okay, but with the adjusted interception rate, it went up to a 3.9. So in his first year, ones that were intercepted and including the ones that should have been intercepted, his interception rate, adjusted interception rate, was a 3.9. So that was number 29. So he went from 29th in his first year all the way down to tied for 14th. So he went up 15 spots. That's pretty good. Now, he was at 3.9 in 2019. He went down to a 2.7 in 2020. So that's a 1.2%. It got lowered. So the 1.2% of 3.9 is 30. It went down 30%. Went from 3.9 down to 2.7. It's 30%. That's pretty good. He was last year, yes, he was tied. He was tied with Matthew Stafford. They were both at 2.9. And then we have Mr. Allen, okay, from Buffalo. He was at a 2.6. Now, just to go to show you, okay, Allen that's his third year. The year before, Allen with Buffalo, his adjusted interception rate was 2.6 in his second year. Okay, so from his second year to his, he didn't get any better, right? And they gave him Stephon Diggs too. His offensive numbers went up, but his interception, rate, pretty much stayed the same. So he didn't, he didn't get much better as far as protecting the ball. Daniel Jones did. But let me read off to you. I want to read off to you the names of the guys with their interception rate total worse than Daniel Jones. All right, I think you'd be a little surprised at some of these names. Okay, of course, Aaron Rodgers isn't there, so don't worry about that. But these are the guys that have all worse interception rate, their adjusted interception rate total, all worse than Daniel Jones last year. Okay, we got Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, Cam Newton, Ben Roethlisberger. And let me just say something here. Ben Roethlisberger last year had 10 interceptions that should have or could have been caught and were not. He threw 10, okay, by himself, but he had 10 other ones that should have been picked off that were not. He led the league by that one. He's the only one with double digits in that category. He had a lot that could have been picked off, right? So we got Ben Roethlisberger. We got Jared Goff, Dwayne Haskins, some guy named Drew Brees. Okay, of course, his last year, I understand. Kyler Murray, guy taken in front of Daniel Jones, right? Drew Lock, who apparently is coming to town, right? And his team is favored over the Giants in the opening week of the season, right? Yeah, get out of here. Andy Dalton, Alex Smith, Teddy Bridgewater was worse. Some guy named Dak Prescott, his adjusted interception rate was worse. His interception rate was a 4.1 last year. Daniel Jones was a 2.7, right? Lamar Jackson, guy was an NFL MVP. His was worse. Nick Mullins from San Fran. Well, then again, they came in and kicked the living crap out of the Giants. You got to give the guy some credit. Chankin for Tua. His interception rate adjusted was a 4.5. Mitch Trubisky, Carson Wentz, Washington football team, Ryan Fitzmagic. His interception rate was a 4.9. Sam Darnold and Nick Foles. Okay, so all those guys last year, their adjusted interception rate was worse than Daniel Jones. And just to go back to the Washington football team, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'll take him as a backup any day of the week. But I don't know about trying to lead your team into the playoffs or the Super Bowl. I'm saying he'll throw you into a game, but he'll throw you out of a game as fast too. I mean, I don't remember what year it was when he was the quarterback of the Jets. The Jets got to the last game of the season. All they had to do, but they had to win the last game of the season. They would have made the playoffs. They went into Kansas City, okay, and Mr. Fitzmagic threw 6 interceptions that day. He threw them into the position where they could have possibly got into the playoffs, and then he got to the last game of the season. He threw them out of it. So, got to keep that in mind. But it just goes to show you all the guys, okay, underneath Daniel Jones, that their interception rate was worse than what Daniel. So he's gotten better. I mean, don't get me wrong, his touchdown total has gotten far worse. But his interception, has gotten better. He's done a little bit better job at protecting the ball. We also got to remember, too, 3 years ago, he was at Duke. New offensive coordinator, right? Duke. First year in the pros, Pat Shurmur's calling the plays. Second year in the pros, all right, new play caller, Jason Garrett calling the plays. So past 3 years, every year he's had somebody else different plays, people calling plays for him, right? So that's second year in with Jason Garrett, okay? Now he's got some nice weapons too, all right? Let's see what he can do. And also, it's just, I know times are different, it's kind of tough to, exactly, match guys up, but I mean, if we're going to talk about maybe Eli Manning, all right? Eli Manning, last year, Daniel Jones' interception rate was a 2.2, okay? Eli Manning played for 16 years. There was only 2 years in those 16 years where his interception rate, his normal interception rate, was lower than a 2.2. 2008, it was a 2.1, and 2018, it was a 1.9 when he was 37 years old. Yeah, 1.9, very, very good. But all those other years, absolutely phenomenal, horrible. His first year in the league, his interception rate was a 4.6. 2010, his interception rate was a 4.6. 2013, his interception rate was a 4.9. Daniel Jones was only 2.2. Eli Manning also led us to 2 championships. Can't take nothing from him there. But Eli Manning also, we're talking about, Daniel Jones with all the turnovers and the fumbles and all of this. And, Eli Manning led the league in interceptions 3 times. In 2013, all right, he had 27 interceptions. Okay. 2010, he led the league with 25 interceptions. And a weird one, in 2007, when we went and won the Super Bowl, he led the league. He had 20 interceptions. Go figure. Now, so this will be the second season under Jason Garrett. He did a little better job protecting the ball. This will be the second season under Jason Garrett. Get all these weapons, all right? So protecting the ball this year is going to be one thing. Scoring some points and throwing some touchdown passes is another. And if he can't pick that number up, he's going to have to at least double what he did. He had 11 last year. If he can't get at least 22 touchdown passes this year, I think at the end of the year we're going to be picking the phone up and calling 1-800 Aaron Rodgers. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!